talk to me. We met several times in the next couple of years. And we know her story. And during that time, we developed a relationship. Little did we know that I knew what would happen to her in the future. And we were there to help her through the entire process. And now we've developed an incredible relationship. But she took the time to say hi. We developed that, and that's with the human touch that Tammy was just describing about, that you couldn't have bought through a computer, you couldn't have had, we've gone through technology, and we shared some incredible moments. So here is Rebecca Steele for all the greatness, and thank you for being a friend again, for all that you've done.
Wow, I'm going to do my dirty dozen. And Tammy were awesome. Thank you so much. I'm just going to talk a little bit about sort of why I'm here and how I'm here, but then I thought I would do a little something different. It's just been an incredible conference. I mean, the women who have been here speaking and all of you who I've met with have just been the highlight of my year so far, really. My story is different than most. I have been through crisis, but I will tell you that I've been very, very fortunate to have the opportunities that I've had. I've managed through some of the largest housing issues in America. I ran a $1.5 trillion servicing portfolio, combined countrywide and Bank of America during the height of the crisis. And I'm very proud to say that I think I was an innovator there. I think we not only did millions of foreclosure preventions through modifications, short sales, but we also did foreclosure the right way, transitioning families to a place that they couldn't afford. Through that process, I learned a lot. I learned how to sort of dig in, innovate, think outside the box. I am an engineer, so I'm very analytical. But I also learned something very important. Not only do you have to help people, you have to care about people. If you have that kind of passion, you have a requirement to give back. You have a requirement to, I believe, care about what you're doing on a deeper level than I met my metrics today, and I made the bank money, or I didn't make the bank money. That's what I learned through the housing crisis. How many families were impacted, how many families were in crisis. I had an opportunity to actually create a new department at Bank of America called Executive Outreach. National Outreach, I stood up 250 location and local events in hard-hit foreclosure areas. I staffed those with great people who were well-trained in underwriting and other processing. And I sat with families and heard their stories. So that really changed me as a person. I was no longer sort of just saying, hey, how do I get to the next level? How do I make more money? How do I care about people and how do I make a difference? That said, moving forward, 2 years later, unfortunately, I was named, and some of you probably already know this, and if you were here Sunday, I apologize for repeating, but I was named in a $1 billion lawsuit with Bank of America countrywide and me personally. So it's a long story on how that gets there, but it's a whistleblower issue from countrywide where I was the only woman that sat on a senior executive table. And I had been there 18 months. Somehow, all of a sudden, things come crashing down. And now I am the face of the mortgage crisis. The face of the mortgage crisis. I only wish I had that much power. You know, I thought, this is absolutely insane, but it's true. So the United States government, Department of Justice, Preet Bharara, you might know that name, sued me personally along with Bank of America. And I knew in my heart that I had done nothing wrong. With that said, we went to court. It was a 30-day jury trial in federal court, and I was found civil liability. So I lost in front of the jury. Well, I was at JP Morgan Chase at the time. I was working on Park Avenue. I had negotiated, an independent foreclosure settlement with the regulators. I was very well known. Well, all of a sudden, I was even more well known. If you opened up the New York Times, on the front of the business section, there's my face with leader of the mortgage crisis. Blonde go-getter is fined $1 million. So you can imagine that kind of crisis sort of just takes you back. The one thing that I will tell you about that crisis is I learned a lot. I stood up for what was right. I got on the stand and I told the truth. And ultimately, when we took it up on appeal with the Second Circuit, I won fabulously. In fact, it was getting there was a 2-year journey to the truth. And the government actually was told by the three judges on the Second Circuit that this should have never gone to trial. So the interesting thing about that was, obviously we were happy we won. I got my $1 million back that I had to pay in order to appeal. And all of a sudden I'm thinking, well, I'm set. This has to be great news for the industry. This has to be great. It's great news for me and my family. But the interesting thing was, there was no press at all. None. So when the crisis went down, I'm the face of the crisis, I'm the blonde go-getter, I'm the bad one, I'm evil. I know that's not true. People who know me knew that was not true. But when I won, and I won not only for myself, but think about this. Anyone could have been named in that lawsuit. Anyone. They picked me, not my boss, Fred Lumsden, not his boss, Drew Gissinger, and certainly not Angela Mozilla. It was me. So, Desiree called me. I won, we're excited, we're celebrating, and everything's quiet in the press. So basically, long story short, Desiree wrote an article that really supported me, and I appreciate that. I will appreciate that forever. And I'm back. One of the big questions was, well, how do you come back to an industry that did that to you? I go back to my Bank of America days. I had a great staff. We helped millions of consumers save their homes. I worked for Treasury. I testified in front of Congress. I had done a lot. I said, I'm not done yet. I'm not done yet. So I'm still here. Most people would tweet and stuff that say, you should be writing children's books, you should get out of this industry. Like, there's no way. There's no way. If I did this, I have great things to do. So, with that said, before I get into a few slides here, now I'm doing something even more important. So, as CEO and president of the National Foundation for Credit Counseling, that was established in 1951 by all the large banks, I am now focused on helping consumers across the United States with financial education and literacy, with getting out of debt on unsecured credit card, with housing ownership, with student loan debt, not only focused on the consumer, helping millions, but also helping create good policy and good processes with the banks and the servicers to help those consumers get out of debt. So I'm very excited. That's my next mission. Anyway, I thought it would kind of be fun to talk about how do I become a disruptor. That's you. I'm a disruptor kind of because I chose to be a disruptor. I took hard jobs, I created innovative things, I built technology, I helped millions of homeowners. But more importantly than that, I helped pull up my staff. Because you can imagine in the housing crisis, we worked 24/7 for years. For years. I had a staff, I started out with a staff of 8,000 people at Bank of America. We ended up with a staff of about 15,000 people every day working on these really tough things. So you learn how to bring that up. But I thought it'd be fun just to talk about how do we become a disruptor. I love this because I always love people. This is the lemming thing. and they're falling off the cliff, they're jumping, and they're ready to go. Like if you keep doing the same thing, there you go. Are you observing the problem? We all have a problem. Okay, diversity and inclusion is a problem. Why am I here? To make a difference. You can't just observe the problem. But you know, every day when you go to work and you go through your single process, what are you doing? You're observing it. You don't make a change observing things. So I think that's really, really important. Some of the things that I say is my staff, I said, if you're doing the same thing today as you did yesterday, you're not doing enough. If you look out 12 months from now, you have to imagine yourself and paint the picture somewhere that you've never been. And in 12 months when you look back and you said, wow, I never thought I could get there, then you know you've done enough. The other thing I would tell them is if you're watching this and scoring, you are the problem. You are the problem. So stop that. Stop scoring. Okay, so the other thing is, are you a follower or leader? Hey, what the hell? Hey, wait a minute, fellas, don't push, Tom. Whose idea is this? There's got to be a better way. Again, this is just you. You're going over the cliff. And we can all choose every single day to walk in and say, am I going to follow and do the same thing I did today, or am I going to lead a change? Leading a change is not easy. It's hard to change. So it's my little story. I love this. It's really cute. So here we're going writer's critique. You see all me too, and the two guys in the back are probably trying to figure out exactly what position they're taking. Me too, or yes, always. But it's hard to lead change because you put yourself out there. Like people told me when I got this lawsuit, just settle, just settle. Are you kidding me? First of all, that's my reputation. There was nothing wrong. The facts were all clean. Why would I do that? Why would I settle? Because it's the easy way out. Okay, no way. You cannot pick the easy way out. Now, your battles may not be as big as $1 billion lawsuit, but they're just as important to us, to women, to diversity, to what you do at your company, because diversity makes your company better and stronger. So you have to make a hard choice. I also looked this up. What is a disruptor? Okay, so disruptor, to me, and these are definitions, it's being innovative. It's being innovative. It's someone or something that makes a significant impact in a given industry within a short time span. So if you're wondering what a disruptor is, that's what it is. And it's being an innovator, not afraid to step out, not afraid of change. What I would tell you is, there's a lot of times, even before my lawsuit, where I'm pulling up and we're growing originations. I ran the largest retail originations in the country at Bank of America and at Chase. But things were changing. I had the call center organization. Call centers back in the 90s were not sexy. They weren't helpful. The realtors hated call centers. The retail branches hated them more. But I knew deep down, hey, technology's coming. Call centers can do something. Where's our fit? Where's our niche? Should we be doing refis? You know, those sorts of things. So you have to just stick with it. And now, Quicken Loans, the largest call center-based company. When I started at Chase and call centers, it was sort of taboo. So now you see how things change. But you have to make the change happen. One thing that I'll tell, I always, when I get a new leadership team, or I have somebody new on my team, or I've taken a new position, I always talk about managing change. Because one of the things that people don't appreciate is, it's really easy to say, set goals, make changes. The hard part is having the wherewithal to get through the change. And I think change management, for me, is more like the grief cycle. It really is, because you get excited at the beginning. You're like, hey, this is great. I'm going to do great things. This is a great change. This all makes all the sense in the world. And then you get to sharing it with others. Now you start to get anxious. People don't like it. People go, no. How many times have you heard no? I'm like, but this makes sense. All the facts are here. We should do this. It's compelling. You have to get through that anxiety, resistance, confusion. That is the hardest part of being a leader and being an innovator and making change. But if you know it's coming,
then you can get ready for it. You go, I have this great change, and I know the member organizations or some of the board members aren't going to love this. So what do? You prepare for it. You know it. You have one-on-one conversations. You build relationships. And what Tammy was talking about is exactly right. You connect on the human side. Because people can argue with facts, but when you get to know people and you become compelling and you bring them to you as a part of that change, I always thought I had the biggest staff at Bank of America ever. So I would just bring everybody to me. And I would pull them up and say, you own this. You give them the responsibility, you help them along the way, and you let them succeed. And as Tammy said, you let them take the credit. Because that's where it's due. But this will help you get through that transition zone of change. And then at the end, it's still hard because you have to execute. But execution's a lot easier than getting people to agree in that hard resistance. So I like to use this, and you might find it helpful for yourself or your organization. So what's worked for me? Just start small, build your team, put your arms around them, care about them. Every single person is different. Not everybody's made out to be in the job they're in. So guess what? Switch roles up a little bit. I've had plenty of people who weren't right in the position. This is a big bang thing, a lot of times. They were put in the position and they didn't know what they were doing. Like, I got promoted. I was a great individual performer, I was a great loan officer, now I'm a manager, and I don't know what I'm doing. So you have to take the time. I say go slow to go fast and change. Go slow. Lead by example. Give people credit. Understand where they need help so they can come to you. And it's just building trust. It's just that simple. You have to build trust. Some people aren't going to make it because they're going to go, this isn't for me, I don't want to change, and then you can make a different decision. I've really never had to fire people on my team. Very rarely. Basically, you got to find a new way. Where are you going to be happy? You have that discussion. And you know what? If people are people. They want to be happy too. So they move on. And then you figure out how to make this work. So that's all about the culture, recruiting others to help in your goals. There's this saying that A's fire B's, B's fire, or A's hire B's, B's hire C's, and C's fire A's. Have you heard that? At the banks, I can tell you, I ran into this a lot. What I used to do is I want to hire people way smarter than me, more potential. You invest in those, and there's no way you won't succeed. It might take you longer to get there because you have to train them. But I'm telling you, hire A pluses. Hire A pluses. You will love your job, you will love your life. Don't hire C's. Measure your success. I'm an engineer, that just has to happen. So you have to measure everything. How far did you go? For me right now, it's okay, there's 50 million consumers across the US who can't get a home. There's 40 million in debt with credit cards, significant debt. There's $1.5 trillion of student loan debt that's only being paid back at 38%. It's crazy. And not only that, these people can't get houses. They can't pay their bills. They can't pay their student loans. It's a mess. So when people say, hey, the economy's great, look under the cover. Don't believe it. I'm telling you right now, we're in worse shape today with the U.S. consumer than we have been in years, even during the crisis. The last thing here is rewards. Set up success for small rewards. And guess what? The easiest reward that I ever found was a thank you. You take the time to say thank you. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you for leading that team. Thank you for helping that customer. It's so easy. And you know how good you feel when somebody says that? For some reason, I don't know why that is. People find it hard to thank people during their job. So I practice of thanking people, and then making sure during your routines, we go to lunch, we have some one-on-one time, we have team time, we build culture together, and we appreciate what each other brings to the table. That gets you through that low part of that change. You're going to bring people with you, and you're going to have people responsible. But you have to be courageous. It's not easy. You're going to have a lot of people that say no, when you got to step up and say, yes, and this is why, and yes, and be a part of this change. But yes, we will do this. So here we go. Don't be a lemming. That's my message. Don't run over the cliff. It says, I'd like to question the leadership on the move. Hello? And shut up. You're undermining the troops. Okay, don't be a lemming. Don't do it. And the last thing I'll say, and Tammy reads books, and I hope you love this book as much as I do, but The Power of Habit is really an awesome book. But getting people to follow you is not about charisma. A lot of people say, I can't do that. I can't be that leader. I'm not charismatic. I can't stand up in front and talk to people. It's not about that. It's about commitment to your mission in your way. That's what it is. It's that simple. That's what a disruptor is. Commitment to your mission in your way. You can do that. So today, while you have some time in between speakers, write down a couple things that you've been thinking about. Reinforce the goal, just one, that you think related to women, diversity, inclusion, our mission, of making this a better work environment. And pick up this book, because I think it's a fun read, and one step is one step from making habits take time. So for us, we're talking about singles. We need doubles, we need triples, and then finally you're going to get a home run when it's a habit. People won't even think about board members that are 50% women or 50%, people of color. They won't even think about that. It will be normal, everyday, ho-hum. That's what we want for habits. So that's my message.